It feels a lot like COVID teaching, and I'm sure every single presenter has said the exact same thing. So let's get after it. My name is Garrett Benjamin, and I'll give you a little rundown on what I kind of do. I'm a CTE coordinator for the district. Yeah, it's awesome. CTE is probably the coolest department to work for. No offense to all other departments. But it's really neat. So kind of a little bit broad. Yeah, we got Joe Frosto in the building, one of our esteemed engine auto teachers up on the hill. So couple things. I'm going to proselytize for about 2 minutes. So if you want to like delete and you don't care about CTE, you can totally tune out. But I want to correct some language. ROP went away 15 years ago. We have CTE now, career technical education. So CTE is the big umbrella of everything. Now we have an ROP center that teaches CTE courses, and that's over by Natividad. It's on the hill. That's what we like to call it. So in total, we have 14 sectors in our district, 28 different pathways, course titles. We have 80 different courses. Teachers, there's 59 of them across the district. 14 different sites offer CTE, and some of you are doing quick math. You're like, 14 sites. We have 14 sites as a district. We do. We have 2 farms and an MTROP center and 2 continuation schools. So 14 sites. We got a lot. 296 sections of courses and a little under 7,000 students in our program. This is kind of the big things that I get to do. Curriculum development is one of them. And so really love doing this type of thing. So we're going to do a lot of chat and back and forth because we got some rock stars in here. And I do not begin to believe that I know everything about all things, that especially with curriculum development. So what I want is waterfall answers. So I'll give you guys like 30 seconds to type, mash as hard as you can. And then when I say everyone submit, everyone submits. The reason why we do that is I always was the person that would get anxious while I'm typing, while everybody else's answers are going. So we're going to give everybody the same amount of time, and then we'll just waterfall the answers. You'll read through them. I'll chat about a couple, and then I'll kind of give you like my background or my thought process on how to integrate that stuff into your own lessons. So here we go. First question. Teaching, what subject do you currently teach, and for how many years have you done it? So everyone type, and then I'm going to give everyone 30 seconds, and then we will all waterfall at the same time. Set a 30-second timer. Actually, we'll make this one like 15 seconds. Ready, set, waterfall. Everyone make it fall. All right, we got physics. We got middle school CTE. We've got ELD, theater. We've got adult ed, ROP restaurants from Ms. Diaz, social studies. We've got a bunch in the house, which I'm excited about. So we got math. I actually do want to know what math means. Like, like there's so many different, you're like, I'm doing differential equations in high school. Those people are rare. So I don't know what math class you teach, but awesome. 25 years, incredible. We got a lot of different ranges. We got from 4 months, I think was the least, and 25 years, I believe, is the most. So 26 years, sorry, 26 years. 31 from Kathy Bravo. 31. All right. So from 4 months to 31 years, we'll see if we can give some value in this time. Here's my teaching experience. I've been at 3 different schools. If anybody's gone to the state track meet, that's where Buchanan is. So humongous high school. Yeah, it looks like a college campus. So that's where I taught for a bit. And then went up to the Bay Area. Every relationship has a leader in a trailer, and I'm always been the trailer, so I followed after my wife. Went up to Campbell Union. I chose that school to teach at for a year because it had the exact same initials as Buchanan. So BHS and Campbell Union was just like Clovis Union, Clovis Unified. So I was like, SUHSD, I'm good. So only spent a year there, and then I got pulled up to a private school up in Mountain View called St. Francis. So that's a little bit about me. Question number 2. Remember, don't hit enter until the alarm goes off. Do you use a yearly pacing guide? And if so, how often do you adjust it based on what's happening in your class? So do you use a yearly pacing guide? And it could be yes or no. And how often do you adjust it based on what's happening in your year? You can be like, I adjust it once a week. I adjust it once a month. I set it and forget it at the beginning of the year because I'm lockstep. I've been doing this forever. Whatever it is. All right. When the alarm goes off, we will hit submit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. Put it in. Hit submit. Hit submit. Here we go. No, 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 no. Yes. No, no. As needed. Okay. All right. We got a bunch of no's. We got yes, adjust monthly. Yes. No. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Perfect. All right. So next question. Perfect. Sometimes. I like that. Sometimes. Good. Next question, number 3. Again, 30 seconds on the clock. How many instructional days do we have in each semester this year? How many instructional days? And I'll give you 10 seconds to do this one. How many instructional days first semester? How many instructional days second semester? 10 seconds on the clock. Here we go. How many instructional days? I love. Here we go. Boom. There it is. Alarm goes off. All right. So if you don't know, it's probably because you're not a pacer. Pacing guides have changed. I think the most I've seen in this district is 3 weeks longer in the second semester than the first semester. So let's hit a quick timeout. And you can, how many of you have access to, just give me a thumbs up. How many of you have access to this presentation? Anybody? No? Let's share it with you. So I'll put this in the link. All right. So based on everything that's in there, here is what we got for the year. First semester, we have 91 days, including all those half days. Second semester, we have 94. I think this is the closest first and second semester has ever been in the district. Normally it's off by quite a bit. So interesting. So how does, like, if you want this doc, and I'll keep dropping these things into this. So why does it matter? Like, and I'll go viewer, yep, share. Why does it matter? I think where these holidays fall and what you do with these days matters a lot. Like, you don't want units to end normally the week you come back from a holiday vacation. Like, where are you going to land the plane on when you're cutting off your assignments that you're turning in, right? So you go, okay, end of first quarter or end of the first 6 weeks, like 6 weeks grading report is there. Maybe you cut off the 6-week scores on September 3rd, that collaboration day. This year is weird. You have 28 collaborations instead of 30. Don't know why 2 dropped off. Normally it's 15 first semester and 15 second semester. Not this year. So all that to say, there's a lot in here. This is yours. Take it. Please use it. I love putting down. I'll show you what I like doing. So if I had to fill out a pacing guide, it would look something like this. So I've been doing this for a bit. Here's what I've done. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm having a hard time finding where to sign in.
You sign in with your email. So if you signed in, like if you logged in with your SUHSD email, you should be good.
Is there a link?
No, you have your email.
Oh, I got it. Thank you. Sorry.
Yep. No, you're good. So what do we do with this? So again, it's just pacing. So when do you want to end? When do you want to take your exams? When do you want your projects due? Like for me, like I tiered my exams. So my first exam was 100 points every semester. My second exam was always 200. My third exam was always 300. And I scaled up. So I knew when those exams were happening so that I stayed away from some holidays. And then when I would go on field trips, take home exam right before a large holiday. Yeah, so pacing, it's totally up to you on how you want to do it, but that's how I did it. Link to some backwards design help if you want to like do a deep dive in how backwards design modeling works. This is kind of a process sheet if you want to sit with your PLC or your group of people that you plan with. That document is there as well. And I'll make sure this is not locked. 3, 2, 1. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Boom. Okay. So that's that. That's all I got for pacing guide. All right, back to it. Question number 4. I'm excited. What format do you currently unit or lesson plan on? What format do you do? Again, 30 seconds on the clock. What format? And this time I'm going to have some people share, hopefully. So 30 seconds and then we'll waterfall again. All right, there it is. There's the alarm. Okay, waterfall it. Okay, we got Google Docs and Cami, Google Classroom. We got Sheets. All right. Google Slides. Ooh, what's SS? What's SS? Jenny? Jeannie? What's SS? I don't know what SS is. Google Slides, spreadsheets. Okay. Does anybody want to share? I'm going to hit stop sharing on this. Does anybody want to share one of these iterations? So the ones I'm looking for is maybe the calendar people, maybe a Google Doc person, maybe a Sheets person. Anyone want to share? I'll stop sharing this. Rosalind Dixon, you had a question?
Well, I was going to share.
Awesome. Can you go share?
I don't know if I can share my calendar because the year hasn't started yet, so I don't have it, written out. But I can kind of explain.
Go for it.
So, for example, when I'm reading a novel, I go through and say it's a 300-page novel, and I say, well, we need to be finished by this day, and then I kind of just I don't know the word for this. I'm not a math teacher, but keep dividing in half until I get to, okay, so halfway through, if I have 6 weeks, in 3 weeks, I need to be halfway through the book. And then in a week and a half, and on and on. And then from there, then I can kind of look at those big, like you mentioned, the big days on the calendar versus the big events in the novel, and how are we going to space that out? Are there any additional activities? I'm the first to admit that I am not the most organized teacher. I've got it all up here, but but my husband, by contrast, has like this running doc from a decade ago that he updates every year as he goes through it. So goals one day.
Awesome. Love it. Anybody else want to share what they're proud of, or like how they're doing it? And it's just a format, like what are you doing it on? Anybody still rocking the OG, like the early aughts, rocking a planner? Anybody still doing that? It's okay if you are. Most people said that like Sheets or Google Docs. Anybody else want to chirp? Go, and I'll do this. Yeah. All right, I'll keep talking then. Next question is this. Let me show you slides. Here's the next question. Number 5. How have your planning tools or formats changed over time, and what caused those shifts? So, like, has your planning tools changed? You could give me like, I went from this to this to this. How did you end up at using Google Slides or using a spreadsheet, any sort of thing? So 30 seconds on the clock. Then we'll waterfall. 30 seconds on the clock, and then we'll waterfall. Boom, done. Waterfall it. Here we go. I'm going to read these a little bit. So other teachers introduced me new tools, so I like it. Learning from others. Rock the planner. Okay. Referencing. Yeah. Tech help change. Yeah, for sure. AI has helped. Okay. I'm interested in that. More digital apps. Digital was easier. Okay. Slides, easy access. Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to walk you kind of through what the chaos I've done. And hopefully it will, like, you can learn some dumb tacks from me. I'm a, digress for just 2 seconds. I married an occupational therapist. Give me a thumbs up that you know what an occupational therapist is. Just reaction. We got a couple thumbs up. Okay. Occupational therapists care a lot about executive functioning, right? So you're going to be like, you sound like you're married to an occupational therapist. And so there's a lot of monitoring the small things, and the big things take care of themselves. So I was one of those crazy teachers. I did the exact same thing every single day when I walked into my classroom. And at the end of the day, all my chairs' legs would face the same direction towards the clock. I made all the kids do that. Now, the reason why is because I need to control what I can control. So executive functioning is being able to make things predictable as possible and being able to do as much as you can. So for me, being a science nerd, I wanted to do different iterations every year. And so I went through a lot of different prototypes, and I'll show you where I ended at the end of this. So here it is. First one, daily lesson planner. This was the aughts, right? We had this lesson plan at Subject Monday. We sit there and write on it with a pencil and pen. It was great. I thought it was awesome. But every year I had to start over and write the same stuff down. So a lot of you are like, yep, that's it. That's why I went away from it. One person even put it in the chat that, like, it would fall off, right? And you're like, I have to write again. But that's really what trained me at the beginning. The second person said, Google websites. Anybody doing the original Google sites? Were anybody a part of the OGs? This is like 2010 to when it shifted over in 2016, 2017. Anybody rock those? Give me a thumbs up. They were magical. I thought I was a web developer. I thought everybody thought. Now, this happened because my school district went, every teacher needs a website. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go full hog in this. I'm going to put all my lesson plans into this. And it was intense. I found when it went to the new sites, which is this, I didn't like it. So I had like years pass, and I'll put every year in here. And then you notice 2016, 17, it stopped. I stopped doing websites. So everyone had like like this reg bio, AP finals, AP bio. I just like put everything on this website. It took a while for it to constantly update. And so I had a rock star teacher that was like, Garrett, like, why don't you just use a Google Doc and you can do the same thing. So, so with the website, I have this like drive folder that was just full of stuff. And let me show you this. So this is the first iteration of the HyperDoc. How many people do HyperDocs? Give me a thumbs up if you're a HyperDocker. Yeah, we got a couple HyperDockers. This, I think, is the secret sauce to lesson planning and being able to do iterations. So let me go at the beginning. So this is 2013, my first iteration of a HyperDoc. And I would build this every year. What do you notice? It's a full semester, and it would be long, and it would take a while to load back, especially on the network that I was on. And this is how I did it. I put literally everything that I could, and I would HyperDoc it. Notice I had my assignments numbered. Like I was like, I'm going to number all my assignments so my kids know if it has a number, I need to turn it in. Yep, and I even do my notes, right? So every note, like I was one of those closed note teachers, so every note was linked to it, and this is what I started with back in 2013. I thought this was the beginning of it. Then it's taken some other forms. So back in 2016, it shifted to now I'm using, again, this is a whole semester, and I would load it all in, right? But notice that like there was another year back here. And again, whole semester loaded. And I kept these, like I kept doing these whole semester sheets, and it got really cumbersome to copy it and try to shift things around because it would affect so many different days, especially the holidays. So I'm walking you towards something, don't worry. And then organization of the drive. That is probably one of the hardest things to do. Is organizing your drive. So this is my drive folder, and I would put them in. I did 8 units, 4 units first semester, 4 units second semester. I normally do a unit 0 that would start off the year, but that's how I built it. So in each one of these, I would dump all the documents that I would hyperlink. Now, some of you are like, where'd you go from here? I'll get there in a second. But next question is, next thing is my numbering system changed. So if you looked at the last one, let's go here. The numbering system changed to this unit number. So number 5 and assignment number 2. So again, married to that occupational therapist, found out the titles weren't great. And that a lot of times I would have these documents that I would make, and I needed to find them quickly. And so I name them the number, and they would shift numbers a little bit based on the assignments that were turned in and when they were turned in. So that's why I went to this like binomial nomenclature type of idea of going, okay, how do I get the kingdom, file, class, order, family, genus, species? Now I'm going to do unit and unit number, or unit number and the unit assignment. And so I really like numbering. Every single printout I would do would have the number on top, and the kids would know that if it had a number, it needed to be turned in. So that's one of those executive functioning things that really helped for my students that needed a little extra and help organizing. We know that executive functioning is on the decline. We know attention's on the decline, not on the incline. And so with that, how do we meet our kids where they're at? How many people, and I'm excited because how many people have seen this document? Give me a thumbs up, and I'm going to actually count here how many thumbs up I get. I see a couple. Whoa. Okay, there is more than I thought. So this is our district lesson plan. Now, these are tough to build every day. Does anyone build this every day? Say yes if you actually do it. Every day. No, it's brutal. Now, if your administrator asks for a lesson plan, I would just do this one and give them this because it won't be wrong. But like every single day, this is brutal. And so how do you build every day? And how do you have curriculum that builds every single day on how you're organizing? So question number 6 is this: organizing. When you discover a new resource or lesson idea, where does it go? How easy is it to find and use later? Where are you putting it? So 30 seconds on the clock. Again, where you go to a conference, you meet somebody new, you get somebody else's curriculum. Where are you shoving it? Where are you putting it? 10 seconds. And go. Okay. Yep. Google Drive. Yep. Bookmark it. I'd love to see your bookmark job. Like I did the same thing, bookmarking for a long time, and I realized the bookmarks were intense. Okay, drop it into Drive. So those that drop it into Drive, is there a specific place in your Drive you're putting it? Are you putting it into a unit? Bookmark. So anybody in the Drive, like some people put Google Classroom, okay, as a resource, sure. Google Drive. Anybody in the Google Drive, folks, want to share how that looks organized wise? Anyone want to share? The Google Drive can become a problem, what I've seen, especially if your Google Drive, like let's say you have big units, like I'll use mine as a bio teacher, like the Google Drive, let's just do this first unit. So if I drop this into a folder, I've got all this stuff, right? And the next time I come in, I'm like, what on earth did I do? I thought there was another thing I wanted. Where am I going to find it? And so that leads me to what I was doing. So the Drive organization, I kind of showed you, like my Drive is all based off of each unit. Doesn't have a unit, I don't really care about it. I'll put it at the bottom. But if it doesn't have a unit to plunk in, then I need to figure out why I'm holding on to it. Then inside of each unit Drive folder, right? So it's like doing some like housekeeping, putting everything into units. Inside the unit, let's say I find a doc or a link to something that I really want to check. Notice how every assignment has that like unit and unit number. So I always do a pound sign and a number 1 for like unit 1, pound sign number 2 for unit 2. And I will put links on top. So the reason why I put links on top is I know the next year when I find this, I need to access this link. I need to check in with this link before I build my next unit. Then I could use some of that information to change some of these hyperdocs, right? So this hyperdoc, it's got my administrator I worked with, they wanted a SWABOT on everything. Some of you are like, I need to have an objective. So my teacher, my admin wanted an objective, and in the students will be able to language. And so every single one of them had it. Yeah, so that's like something to think about, having a hyperdoc, one single document that you just put when you find new resources, you just plunk it onto the top of your doc. Now, let's go back to this. Next question, question number 7. How do your students know what they are learning each day? And what system do they have in place if they miss class? So this is the next question. How do your students know what they're learning each day? And what systems do you have in place? So that could be, I write on the board, I have a slide, I have a homework folder that's hanging. I tell each kid individually, whatever it is. I'll give you guys about 10 more seconds and then we'll waterfall again. All right, let's waterfall it. Go for it. All right, so we got agenda on the board. Agenda, Google Classroom on the board. So put the Google Classroom on the board. I like that. Agenda, Google Classroom. I tell them. I like that. I tell them. Google Classroom. I write on the board. Google Class. Perfect. So we got a whole bunch of Google Classroom folks posted on the board and in Google Classroom. Okay. So those that write on the board, how do the kids that missed that class know? That's really the question, right? So like I'm a kid that's got some chronic absentee, which we definitely have an issue in our district about chronic absenteeism. Well, how do I get that? How do I get that work? How do I know what to do? So that question drove me to doing a lot of different iterations. I think in 2021 was the biggest gut punch I've ever had in my life, that Google Classroom changed what it was doing. Anybody remember what happened in 2021? Google Classroom stopped hyperlinking the chat, and that was devastating for me. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I would take, for a good solid 4 years, maybe 5 years, I would take the lesson design, let's say it's here, and I would just copy and paste this whole thing, just copy and paste it into my Google Classroom. But they took, and so everything would be hyperlinked. Then what happened was they took it away, and you had to do these stupid like links on the bottom. I didn't like the way that looked at all. And so I went back to having a schedule. So on the quick links, I would build this sheet. It would be, that could be, this one's not, but because they took away all my Google Classrooms when I changed schools. I would have a student-facing doc, and I would have it in reverse. So the newest weeks on top and the oldest weeks on the bottom. So taking that, this is where I would put it as a quick link, and then I would, if I were you guys, I would just pull this up, and this is the scope of the week. And if you knew the test is coming, you'd be able to show the kids, like, the test is coming on this day. This is when the project's doing, when the project is due, and you just build it on top. So that's an idea. You can also put the link up here. This is always hard for kids to find, and you have to copy and paste it, which I didn't like, but this was the first iteration that I did back right after the first year of COVID. So that's an idea. Don't have to do it. None of this is prescriptive, but that is definitely an idea. I think the biggest reason why you want to do some sort of chat like this or have a link like this is so that when the kids miss, they have it. I also like the idea of having this up on the projector or on the view board, so that kids know, like, oh, you guys did do stuff. The most annoying question that I ever got as a teacher is, what did we do yesterday? And I hated that question, so it'd always be up at the beginning. Or when it was the sheet, they could just scroll down to the previous Google Classroom assignment. All right, moving on. We're doing good on time. Question number 8, voice. How do you gather student feedback about your lessons or units? And can you share an example of when that feedback changed your approach? So how do you elicit feedback? So I'll give you 30 seconds to write again. How do you elicit feedback? How often? Is it every unit? Is it every semester? Is it every year? And did it change how you teach? You elicit feedback and you change how you teach. All right, post. Go for it. Waterfall. Here we go. Dixon's answer was not the best. Nothing. Students completed Google form. Perfect. All right. Live and in person. Ooh, I like that. The meetings of the minds. Unit using a think, pair, share. Okay, I like it. Gather feedback daily using asking kids what their thought. Okay. Once a year with the entire class, but daily as I check. Okay. So here's an idea. I liked it. Again, none of this is prescriptive. You can take it if you want. Bell ringers and exit tickets after summative unit assignments or tests. That was always how I started the next unit. I wanted to recap. A lot of times I was grading, right? So I'd also do sometimes like science is all about phenomenon. And so I introduced the next phenomenon for the next unit while I was still grading all their exams. That's when I would also ask for their feedback. Here was pretty much the 5 questions I always asked. And it was always in a Google form, so I could take that data. The nice thing is AI is able to take all the comments that they bring. I also wanted the students to feel like they had some sort of way to shape the class. This information then would be able to be plunked on those units so that I had them, right? So when I would build unit number 1 the next year, I would be able to look back at what the students said about that unit. And you're like, oh, no, this, like for me, right? Like the infinity rope problem is the best lab ever. It makes them think, blah, blah, blah. It's a great lesson. Well, if the kids hated it, then I missed it. And so giving them an opportunity to give feedback to guide instruction for the next year. So what parts of this unit helped you learn the most and why? What parts of the unit's confusing or didn't work well for you? Was the pacing of the unit too fast? 100% of the time they say it's too fast, but I know that's just right. If kids are going, if it's when they say it's too slow, that's when you know you've done it wrong. But if every kid's saying, yeah, it's too fast, you're like, good, sounds good. Fast is okay. Like slow is the worst. What would you add or remove or change in this unit? And then did you feel prepared for the assessment or project at the end of the unit? A lot of times kids will tell you like, I didn't fully understand X. And if that's the case, like, let's go, let's change that assignment or that lesson to better suit it. This data that you have on your 5 is your PLC 4 questions, right? This will pop in there. How do you change your previous practice if you're not eliciting the students' feedback on it? And so this could be just the simple 5-question data set that you do with your PLC every single week, or PLT if you changed your name. All right, question number 9, SEL checks. Do you do an SEL check-in with your students each day? What does it look like? Is it at the door? Is it with a slide? Is it something different? I'm actually curious. I want to hear if there's any like SEL czars in here that are like, this is what I do every day. Give you 10 seconds, and it can just be no, I don't do it. Give you 10 seconds to write something, and then we'll do a waterfall here. And waterfall it. Here we go. All right. Targeted at the door. Good. Whole class. Weekly circles. Ooh, I want to know what a weekly circle looks like. I'm going to actually ask you to share if you can. Verbally ask. Yes. No. No, no, no. Daily. Slide presentation. 1 to 9 scale. Okay. Somebody, Denise knows that that's where I'm going. Greet students at the door. Help see how everyone's doing. Perfect. Almost every day. Often. Okay. Can somebody, can Jenny, I don't know. Medina, can you tell?
It's Janess.
Janess. Okay. Hi, Janess.
Hi.
Can you tell me what the weekly circle looks like?
I don't do the weekly circle. I have the 1 to 9 scale.
Perfect. Okay. Medina, can you tell me what the weekly circle looks like?
Yeah, when I taught before, we would do a weekly circle on Fridays. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep, you sound great.
Yeah, and so you start with low-level risk in the beginning when you're first meeting your students, and then you advance to higher-level risk questions. As the year goes on and as students feel more comfortable, you don't have a lot of time with a large group. If you have a large class, then you could do like a Socratic seminar style and split it to inside and outside circles so everybody has a chance to share. You have circle agreements. In the beginning, when you are at low risk, I might do 4 questions, maybe 3. It can start with a quote. You can go off the vibe of the class, or you can just go based on a certain sequence that you feel is most appropriate.
Perfect. Love it. That's something new. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, SEL check-ins, like that was the circle sounds amazing. This is all I did, and it was wonderful. The 1 to 9 scale, and they pick one of them, and it would tell me like, oh shoot, that. And I love those that greet them at the door. That's your first indicator. And then the second indicator for me was this. While they were doing that, and they put it into like the Google form, I'd see it. We're back in COVID teaching. They would put it into the chat and privately message me, whatever format it is. And then I would just like see what that meant. Like each one of these pictures doesn't mean anything, right? So I put a link on here. This was just an incredible amount of photos that you can grab. I like the 1 to 9. It does get old after a while, but changing it up, maybe it's every Friday you do an SEL check-in, or it's based on how your students are feeling that day. Yeah, so lots of different ways. Dixon, your hand was raised.
I just remembered that Garrett also had a function similar to this. I think they implemented it like halfway through last year. But if I'm having a day where we're on the Chromebook from the beginning of class to the end of class, kids are working independently, you can just send it through the chat, like how you feeling, and it's a similar, I think it's only 1 to 5 scale, little emoji faces. That's a good way to open that door too, because then you can privately chat them like, hey, you want to talk about it, or you okay? Oh yeah, I'm just tired, whatever. And nobody knows that they're talking to the teacher because everybody's on their computer.
Yep. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I like the emoji too. It's a great idea. Perfect. Shall we move on? Anybody else want to share anything on this one? I think it needs to be a place, like we know that our kids are going through a lot. Like about that 10% mark of our students are migrant students, and there's a lot that's going on in the news, a lot that's just happening to our students every day. Like we know that our district is 92% socioeconomically disadvantaged, and those takes on different like different facets every week, every day, every month. So having some place for that. Number 10. This is what I was looking forward to. It's 12 o'clock perfectly. This is the thing I really want to hear. Perfect. Thank you so much for putting that resource on the circle in here. Question number 10. Bag of tricks. What's in your bag of tricks as a teacher? Favorite instructional strategy, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to share. I'm going to call on a couple of you for sure to unmute and share what's in that bag of tricks. Something that you are just like, this is what makes me like excited. And it could be a thing. It could be the circle, right? Like that sounded awesome. What's your favorite instructional strategies that you have? Something. Give you guys a couple seconds, or I'll give you 15 seconds to write. And then we'll do waterfall again. And go for it. Here we go. Okay. I like it. Charles, can you tell us what instructional interviews is?
Yeah, oftentimes I'll set a time where I meet with the kids face to face about their assignment. We have a talk. It helps me get to know how they view assignments, whether they can understand them, if I need to clarify them better. But it gives me like an interactive time to talk with them. And the students are doing another assignment. I'll call them up one by one.
Yep.
And we'll just have an interview. And it's not something that is intimidating for them. It's just me wanting to learn about their assignments, how they do them. And I pick a few during the year. And then while we're going over stuff, it helps me see if they have reading issues or writing issues. I did this when I taught English, and I do it now even when I teach theater, because I have them do a lot of critical thinking responses to stuff, and so it helps me get to know them. And so that's it works amazingly. It's very simple. I have a little format that I use, and it only takes about maybe 3 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes a student, and I can get my whole classes done in 2 days. It also is great to do during a video. So if you're showing a movie or showing a video, it's great to do it then.
Yep, perfect. Thank you. That was great. I skipped a slide. I'm going to show you exactly what I wanted to talk about here. I forgot to put it here. For those of you that are doing full semester designs, I found that unit designs work a lot better for your entire materials. So if I go here, and I go, let's go cell respiration photosynthesis. I click inside of this. Again, I plunk some sort of way that it always circulates to the top. This is my hyperdoc. The hyperdoc, as long as you are building it by unit, then you can just stack your units year after year after year after year. So every single year, this is 2018, and you can just keep going back in time. Instead of doing semesters, the semester docs just got so big. And so that's what I wanted to chirp on that before we go to the last question here. Another thing, my favorite instructional strategies, there's a little link here, just listed out. I found some stuff about each one. I tried to hyperlink those as well. So just a bunch of ways to change up your instructional practice every week, every month, to make it a little bit different format. The last one is this: using ChatGPT to help create varied lessons. So how do we do that? So I think for myself, I took, and I'll show you what I did. Let me grab it. So if you download your PDF, let's say I downloaded my PDF for my unit, for just that unit. If you download it instead of copying and pasting it in, it actually helps. So if you just go up to your unit design, your hyperdoc, you hit print, and you can save it as a PDF. Then you upload that PDF into ChatGPT or whatever you want to use. This is the prompt I put: review the following information of high school biology class for Unit 3. Please provide me feedback based on everything you can find on this to help me create a better unit flow and identify possible activities to engage my students. Ask me 4 questions to help you make the best response. So it plunked it out. So what was well, opportunities to improve, flow, 4 questions to help me better create a more cohesive lesson. So obviously I got out of the classroom before ChatGPT became the juggernaut that it is, but creating a hyperdoc that you can ask questions to a thought partner and using ChatGPT to be that person for you is awesome. I think also I worked in a big department in the science department, and so I would have to share and stagger materials a lot. So if Jose is teaching something or Kelly is teaching something, I can't use the same materials that she had or Jose had, and so I would have to schedule it. And so those hyperdocs definitely help do that. And then using ChatGPT to be able to give you varied lessons and changing up your practices so you don't fall into those ruts. There was a free book on Audible this summer on what great teachers do. And creating thoughtful, engaging lessons is what they do. And that's all of you. And if you need thought partner, you can always email me, Garrett.Benjamin at Salinas SUHSD.org. Shoot me an email. I'd love to be a thought partner for you guys too. I get to help run the 12 CTE PLC leads, and so I care a lot about this. I'm curious to see what our new ed department looks like this year. Now that Kim is not in that department anymore, and so we'll have a new person that will lead this initiative on what chat looks like and all these different lesson plannings look like. Last slide, here we go. Anybody use chat for like reviewing their lessons, or anybody using AI to create lessons design or anything like that? I would assume most of you are. Got some positives here. So awesome. Last questions. Any questions? There's a feedback link on here. Any questions for me? Going once, going twice. I'll drop this into the chat so that all of you can take it. Appreciate all of what you do. If you see me walking around campus, please say hi. Go, hey, Garrett, I was in your presentation this summer. I missed the classroom a lot. I freaking loved it. So I will be back. Know that I will be. So yeah, appreciate you all. May your curriculum build, and may Google help you do so. So you guys are awesome. Talk soon.